Some of us, we're quick to use our skills and talents for those outside of our race. This is why I just want to rise up those who are using their skills and talents for our race and our people, because we are in a situation where we're running races. Each race are in their own lane running their race. They're running their race for their political development. They're running their race for their economic empowerment, and they're running their race to make sure that they are the superpower, or they're the ones with the power that are making the decisions. So each race is in their lane. If you look at it athletically style, we're on that relay track. We got African race in one lane, we got the Europeans in another lane, we got the Asians in another lane, the Chinese are even in their own separate lane. Everybody's running their race in their lane. They're developing themselves economically. They're developing their country. They're protecting their land. They're protecting their resources. They're developing themselves, their security forces, militarily, economically, politically, culturally, spiritually, each in their respective lane, developing their nation for generations to come. But because of the destruction that we have experienced, we don't realize, some of us, that as a race we are racing against other races. And so some of we did in the other race lane, them are developed for them lane. We are developed them politically. We are developed them culturally. We're giving them all of our skills and talents, our creativities and our investments. We're financing their initiatives, their projects and their programs. And they're well done now. When you look to the African lane, very little are going there, so, and we wonder why. People are pointing and say, look on the African lane, not now going there. So that's because you're in the wrong lane. You're in the Chinese lane, I build up the Chinese lane. You're in the European lane, I build up the European lane. You build up the European family, you create family with the Europeans instead of the owner people. So enough mix up a guan. Time we realize that other races are racing against us and they're exploiting us for their own financial, economic and political gain, and we need to fix up and we need to focus on our lane and be doing what we can to develop our lane. We need to fix up and we need to focus on our lane and be doing what we can to develop our lane. And be doing what we can to develop our lane. And be doing what we can to develop our lane. And be doing what we can to develop our lane. Greetings, family. Sister Shanice in the house. I want to thank you so much for passing by my channel today. Much appreciate love. Certainly hope you're feeling absolutely blacktastic. So this is the channel that brings you news, reviews, interviews, and also bring you live debates on a Wednesday evening from 8 through to 10 p.m. GMT time. That's every Wednesday, 8 to 10 GMT time during the evening. And if you haven't participated in one of our debates before, come on, you're missing a great discussion. Every strong instead of weak. We have some really good, really interesting, insightful guests who come and share their views, opinions, their research, you know, to us as a community. And you can participate via the live chat. So join us this coming Wednesday. Put the date in your diary. Schedule it so that you don't miss that's the start of the show. Okay, so thank you so much in advance for joining us there. To all of my subscribers, thank you. If you have yet to subscribe, please do. To all of my Patreon supporters, thank you so much for your support. And for those who want to support Black media, please check me out on Patreon. For a very little, you could be supporting this cause. So today's discussion is going to be about staying in our lane. And I'm going to bring you an example of someone who, it could be argued, was in a position where they could have made an enormous amount of change, but instead, you know, was straddled across, you know, two paths, and therefore
was not in a position to be an effective change maker, that they had envisioned, or that the people who believed in them had actually envisioned. So as we know, post-colonial times, we're in post-colonial times. However, we have all, as a people, been very miseducated with a colonial education which favours the development and the advancement of Europe over and above the development and advancement of Africa. And as a result of this, if we're from Africa, we want to run to Europe to develop Europe, or run to America to develop America, because that's what the education has indoctrinated us to want to do. And then we look behind and we're thinking, well, Africa isn't developed. Of course Africa isn't developed, because all of our loyalties are actually split, or we've got 2 feet in somebody else's camp, and we're applying all of our skills, all of our energy to develop somebody else's territory to the detriment of our own. So I'm going to go to this article, and I think this explains it really, really well. The title of the article is Mandela Let Us Down by Winnie Mandela. So it says, struggle stalwart Winnie Madikizela Mandela bitterly lashed out at Nelson Mandela at an interview published in the Evening Standard. She said that South Africa's first democratically elected president, who at the time was also her ex-husband, had become a corporate foundation who was being wheeled out to basically just collect money. Madikizela Mandela also claimed that Archbishop Demetrius Desmond Tutu, a Christian, in the interview with Nadira Napol, who visited her with her husband, the writer V.S. Napol, in Soweto. Mandela, she said, let us down. She said he was a bad deal for the blacks. He agreed to be a bad deal for the blacks. Economically, we are still on the outside. The economy is very much white. It has a few token blacks, but so many who gave their life in the struggle have died unrewarded, said Madikizela Mandela in the interview published in the standard.co.uk. She said Mandela had no control over the ANC anymore and was just being used by the Nelson Mandela Foundation to get funds. She said, look what they made him do. The great Mandela. He has no control or no say anymore. They put that huge statue of him right in the middle of the most affluent white area of Johannesburg. Not here, where we spilled our blood and where it all started. Mandela is now a corporate foundation. He's wheeled out globally to collect money, and he is content doing that. The ANC have effectively sidelined him, but they keep him as a figurehead for the sake of appearances. She said others suffered. Others also suffered. Madikizela Mandela said Mandela was not the only leader who suffered. This name, Mandela, is an albatross around the necks of my family. You all must realize that Mandela was not the only man who suffered. There were many others, hundreds who languished in prison and died. Many unsung and unknown heroes of the struggle. And there were others in the leadership too, like poor Steve Biko, who died of the beatings horribly and all alone. Mandela did go to prison, and he went in there as a burning young revolutionary. But look what came out. Madikizela Mandela criticized him for accepting the Nobel Peace Prize with the apartheid government, last President F.W. de Klerk. She said, I cannot forgive him for going to receive the Nobel Peace Prize in 1993 with his jailer, F.W. de Klerk. Hand in hand they went. Do you think de Klerk released him from the goodness of his heart? He had to. The times dictated it. The world had changed, and our struggle was not a flash in the pan. It was bloody, to say the least, and we had given rivers of blood. I had kept it alive with every means of my disposal. TRC Sherrod. She also lashed out at the Truth and Reconciliation Commission process, criticising Tutu, its chairperson. Look at this Truth and Reconciliation charade. He, that's Mandela, should never have agreed to it. What good does the truth do? How does it help anyone to know where and how their loved ones were killed or buried? That Bishop Tutu, who turned it all into a religious circus, came here. He had the cheek to tell me to appear. I told him a few home truths. I told him that he and his other like-minded Christians were only sitting here because of our struggle and me, because of the things I and people like me had gone through to get freedom. Looking back, she said the movement actions were badly planned. You know, sometimes I think, she said, that we had not thought it all out. There was no planning from our side. How could we? We were badly educated, and the leadership does not acknowledge that. Maybe we have to go back to the drawing board and see where it all went wrong. Now, that's the end of the article. But clearly, you know, Winnie Madikizela Mandela feels that she gave her life, and she acknowledges that so many others gave their life to the struggle for freedom so that South Africa could be free. And they kept the vision and the hope alive that Nelson Mandela would be released, and he was released. And, you know, the hope was, the burning hope was that he was going to be the Messiah that the blacks were looking for. He was going to be the one that was going to change their impoverished situation and ensure that some of the riches of the country would be fairly and equitably distributed to its black population. But instead, what's been said was his loyalties wasn't to the black nation, it seems, but to the whites. And he was prepared to be used in that way. And this is an example of us as a people being in the wrong lane. You know, we're not using, some of us, our skills and our talents and our energies and the positions that we have to actually advance our nations and our people and to elevate us. And if we don't do it, who on earth can we expect to do it? So this is what we're saying. When we're talking about being in the right lane, we're talking about recognizing the fact that we are the ones with the duty and the responsibility for uplifting our people wherever we are in the world. We can't leave it to the Chinese. Their loyalty is going to be to China. We can't leave it to the Indians. Their loyalty is going to be to India. We can't leave it to the Europeans. Obviously, their loyalty is going to be to their people. We have to do for ourselves what needs to be done to elevate and to advance and to progress our nations and our people. So, the message for today is, please stay in your lane, the African lane, and do whatever you can towards the advancement and the upliftment of your people to make the next generation proud. Sister Shanice out of here for now. More love, more power, peace and love, everybody. And keep rising.